You want to
Yeah,
do this
go
one? Should I
for
do this
it.
one? I will do this one. Let's just do it cold. And
Now it's time for the German Soccer Rundown.
this week's match day started with a surprise as Augsburg beat COVID decimated Bayern 2-1, 2-1. Borussia Dortmund beat Stuttgart 2-1 on a late winner by Marco Reus, Mr. BVB himself, on a late-minute counterattack. Great goal, and is now just 1 point behind Bayern. An early header for Leverkusen was enough to beat Bochum 1-0, while Mönchengladbach beat Fürth 4-0. 4-0. Leipzig can't win on the road, losing to Hoffenheim 2-0. Bielefeld-Wolfsburg tied 2-2, and in the Berlin Derby, Union beat hapless Hertha 2-0. Are now in 5th place. On Sunday, Freiburg lost 2-0 at home to Frankfurt, but held on to 3rd place, while Mainz and Köln split the points 1-1.
Very nice.
And that right there is your German soccer rundown.
Very nice. Well done. Well done.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Not too much. Not too much to talk about. I mean, Bayern losing. That's a big losing to
That's the big one.
Augsburg. A COVID decimated a lot of players missing. Kimmich is not vaccinated. He had to quarantine. Zul is still out, and Marcel Sabitzer, Kimmich's replacement,
Had a
really had a rough one.
game, didn't he?
Yeah,
You,
gave
you know,
away.
you know who could use him? Leipzig. You know who could really use him is Leipzig.
Yeah, yeah, and he hasn't.
So Augsburg was they were up 2-0, right? I think they were up 2-0.
Yeah, they were up 2-0, and then Lewandowski got one back, and you thought,
that would be the beginning of the turnaround.
They'll turn this around because this was all the goals in the first half, and it didn't happen.
Augsburg are scrappy. They're a tough team to play against. They've had a
Yeah.
notoriously bad season this year, or they're just maybe not notoriously bad. I shouldn't say that. But they're a scrappy team to play. And for our American listeners, this was a Bayern derby. These are two Bavarian clubs going at each other.
Yeah, the
Language that
shortest.
I can't
the
understand.
The shortest road trip for Bayern all year apparently is to Augsburg. It's less than it's 20 minutes or something.
Oh, wow. That close? I didn't know that's how close they were. Bjorn, this is really important soccer analysis, but how's your Bayerisch?
Oh, it's poor. I
Yeah.
don't know.
My parents, growing up, we have good family friends in Bavaria, and we would go to the farm every summer. I have great memories there. The Bergbauer, as they were called, out in the mountains, and they would speak Hochdeutsch for us, and I couldn't understand that because like in the southern Bavaria, they have a very very thick dialect, and they do like. They learn how to speak Hochdeutsch for the Northerners, which is still very Bayerisch. And then when they're together, it's just two Bayerisch folks talking. I can't. It's like a foreign language. It's a total foreign language. I can't.
Yeah,
understand any of that stuff.
It's very hard to. Yeah, you can't understand it.
It doesn't
I
even
agree.
sound German. It's like yeah. It's almost leading into the Swiss thing. Coessa means come eat, come essen. Coessa.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing. But back
Mia
to
san
Bayern's Mia san
Mia
Mia.
san Mia,
We
which is
are. What
Bayern's
does that
phrase.
even mean? We are us.
It means we are us.
No, I
but
mean
that's
I know.
A very
I mean,
Bayerisch.
yeah. It's like,
What does that mean?
What does
it
it
essentially just means the Bavarians do it their way.
Yeah, it's
You know,
like
Bavarians-
fuck you, fuck off
Fuck
is what
you.
it means.
Fuck off. Bavaria is the German Texas. Bavaria is Texas to Germany. You know,
Is it
Texans do
Texas
their own
or
thing
is
with-
it or is it?
Oh, yeah.
I thought I sort of liken it to Northern California sometimes, like the idea.
Oh, really?
Of, yeah, it being sort of people having sort of an outsized the people who live there having an outsized idea of its relevance and also thinking that they've solved all the problems of how to live, like everything is perfect kind of thing. I don't know, there's some parallels, maybe.
Interesting. I see the parallels. I guess for me, it's sort of just a laissez-faire. We do our own thing, and I think of Texas when I think of that.
Oh yeah, interesting.
But anyway,
yeah.
you know, you know, at the end of the day, Bavaria is Bavaria. If you compare them to something else, that's what pisses them off the most because they do their own thing. And there's that old German joke. It's like, are you German? It's like, no, I'm Bavarian.
I'm Bavarian. Right.
Bavarian. Anyway, so that was Bayern mentioned. I
they have
see the Dortmund game.
They have COVID. The COVID drama continues. Now they're going to dock the pay of the unvaccinated. I've read.
Good.
That
I'm all about it. They're well within the rights to do it. I was literally walking around with a mask today. I'm a mouth breather. I hate wearing masks. I wear them obviously, but I hate it. And then literally, I just had a moment where I'm just like, why are we still in masks? I was like, get vaccinated, people. Not to get political, but I'm sorry. It's my opinion. Like, let's solve this thing, man. The answer is out there. So let's solve it.
That seems to be. That seems to be what's happening at Bayern. They're gonna hit them where it hurts in the paycheck.
That's right. Normally they make $500,000 a week, but this week they get a $5,000 fine. So it's only $495,000 this week.
Yes. I don't know. No exact numbers were forthcoming, and it wasn't even
also,
clear.
I don't think anyone gets that much money, but still.
From the article that I read, it didn't even seem 100% confirmed that Bayern was actually doing it, or that were they just threatening to do it, or they were contemplating threatening to do it. It's unclear. But
yeah, it could be press.
People need to get vaccinated. That's the message, and
that's the message. From the Schnitzel boys.
That's it. That's here from the Schnitzel boys. Get the shot. But I got the booster on. I got the booster on Saturday. Kind of sucked actually. I was pretty.
How do you feel?
I felt kind of poorly on Sunday, even though I still made it to Yankee Stadium, and but I felt it. But whatever it takes, we need to.
I need to get my booster, but literally I have to be like, when do I have nothing to do the next day? And the answer is I've been running around a lot. So I need to get it done, but I have to wait until I have a free day before I
didn't anticipate it being, because neither of the previous two shots really were a big deal for me. So this one was worse for some reason. But and I was also at this pharmacy in Brooklyn. The lady who was ahead of me in line told me that if I got the booster, my organs would crumble in the next 3 years, and that's why she wasn't getting it.
Oh, and wow. Was she a doctor?
Well, that's what I said. I was like, everybody's a doctor these days, apparently.
Your organs will crumble.
My organs will crumble in 3 to 4 years. That was her prediction. I'm like, all right, I guess
not 5, not 2.
We'll find out.
I have it on good authority. So New York's full of a lot of crazy lovey nuts. Quick story, which connects to Germany. I worked at a grocery store once upon a time on the Upper West Side. We had a crazy lady come in, especially grocery stores, crazies come in regularly because the staff can't leave. And then so crazy people are like, oh, I get to talk at these people, and they have to stand there and listen to me. So this lady comes in, and she starts throwing a bunch of metal coins in a trash can. And she says, these are dragon coins. These are the devil. And starts throwing coins away, then leaving. And I go through the trash, and I start pulling out 5 Euro-Scheine.
Oh.
Over and over and over. Or no, 2
Dragon coins. So this was actually worth something. You made out.
Yeah, and I was like, holy crap. And I think I couldn't find them all because they were deep in my trash. So I ended up pulling out 6 euros of dragon coins. And I was it doubled my hourly pay for that hour. So
amazing.
Thank you, Dragon Lady. Thank you, New York City. All right, so speaking of Euro-Scheine, there's 2 other games I really want to touch on. I mean, we should probably touch on a few more, but the Dortmund game, they did win. Bayern and Dortmund are slowly separating themselves from the pack, and thankfully Dortmund is right there. It's going to make the December 4th Classic very fun.
I stand corrected. I thought that there was going to be more separation between them by the Classica, but that's not the case. So good for them, and
thankfully
that's going to be That's going to be a great game.
Scored that great goal there at the end. Leipzig, Hoffenheim. I watched that game. It broke my heart. Leipzig was so sloppy.
They were bad.
They were bad. They were pretty bad. They had no real goal scoring opportunities. Hoffenheim just having a great time. They scored a goal. They scored another goal. And Leipzig just not being the komm nicht zu Pott. They are not figuring. There's still something missing at Leipzig.
Not, yeah.
They are too wide open in the back, and up top, it's a little too rocket science-y for them.
Yeah,
I think they're just not being able to pull it off.
Like you're saying, Zabitzer could help them, but.
And they were doing well up until before the break. They up before the break, things were looking good. It's like, oh, they're on a undefeated streak a little bit, blah, blah, blah. But today, after that game, coming back was very disappointing. It's like, ooh, if this keeps Jekyll in hiding through the Christmas, I think that's Jesse Marsh. Jesse Marsh is heading home for Christmas, and he can stay as long as he wants. That would be my 2 cents to that.
We'll see.
Hopefully not, but never know.
And then we had the Berlin Derby. Derby. What is it? I don't feel like Derby sounds weird to me. It's like I'm not English.
I think that's it right there. We got the.
Oh,
I think JFK would say Dabby. We had Berlin Derby.
Probably, yeah.
We had Union Berlin play against Hertha Berlin.
Also, kind of a beatdown.
Be.
The new kids versus the old lady. That's what they call Hertha, right? Die alte Dame. Die alte Dame Hertha. The old lady. They played like Berlin. They played like an old lady. The Hertha Berlin.
Between the old lady versus the young communists. Union Berlin, the young socialists. Well, what I'll tell you, I've said it before. Urs Fischer is a great coach. And they're doing good work there at Union Berlin. They're the last, how many seasons now? 3-4 seasons they've been the better Berlin side. Ever since Berlin showed up.
Fifth place now. That is that's great for them, yeah.
I mean, Union Berlin, which were perennial second division clubs. It's kind of like Zampoli, a small punk rock club. Their fans built their stadium. That's a fun story to Google. And they're just there in the second division. They hop up to the top flight. And they've been there bossing it ever since. They're like, you know what? We're a top flight, fifth place team now. They've done it 3-4 seasons in a row. Or 3 seasons in a row, about maybe 2, 3. I don't know. My history's all over the place. So good for Union Berlin. Hertha, one of the great clubs I think Ralf Rangnick would be great at. That's a match made in heaven.
But they hired Klinsmann instead back then. And
well, but that tells you 3 weeks later.
That tells you everything really you need to know about how Hertha is operating. My favorite moment from that game was like when David Selke, the Hertha striker, afterwards, tried to appease the fans and threw his shirt into the stands as a souvenir, and the fan who got it was so disgusted he threw it right back, which I thought was amazing.
I love it. There's a great that legendary a Big Mo Green commercial, whatever his name is, where he's like, hey kid, and he takes the jersey off and throws it to him. And they've had many versions. There was a Maradona version of it, but there a Pepsi I think did a spoof where David Beckham is in his Real Madrid jersey coming out. And then it's just like he's drinking a Pepsi, and he goes, hey, kid, you want a Pepsi? Here. It's like, oh, and here, take this. He throws him his jersey, and the kid goes, thanks. And he uses the jersey to clean the top of the Pepsi, and just throws the jersey back at him, and then drinks the Pepsi. And I'm just like, funny stuff. Funny stuff. I mean, I don't know if I would throw him back a game jersey, but that shows you some passion and power. Bochum are in decent shape, right?
Well, the Bochum lost to Leverkusen, right. But a tight
1-0, right?
It was a tight 1-0. There was an early header which looked like Riemann should have had it. It was kind of an odd goal. Sort of he headed it, and then Riemann made the save. Looked like, but then goal line technology told us the ball had crossed the line, and that was it. And then, it was a tight affair, but Bochum continued to surprise me in being competitive in these games. Like they did not give up. They had, their offensive struggles are on display. They had Polta had a run on goal, found himself sort of going towards the goalie on his own, and really was just looking like, who can I lay the ball off to? I'm not used to this. The air is thin. I cannot breathe. And finally, he just sort of stopped and and laid it off to a guy like 10 feet. I mean, it was pretty obvious
Right.
what his strengths are. But
the old back pass.
I thought it was an interesting game in the sense that when you look compared to Fürth, I was comparing Bochum and Fürth this weekend.
Right.
Both sides newly promoted, according to Transfermarkt, about the same budget, which is much lower than all the other Bundesliga budgets. Two teams that kind of, I guess, because of COVID and lack of funds and hard to sign players, blah, 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 went from second to Bundesliga 1 with more or less the same squad, couldn't quite get the reinforcements that they needed. And they played, Bochum playing Leverkusen on the road, Fürth playing Mönchengladbach on the road, also kind of similar sort of top mid-table. Yeah. And Fürth just loses 4-0. They're dead last. They have 1 point. And Bochum
1 point.
Was competitive, lost as well, but looked good and looked like real contenders. And which brings me to my point that I was teasing at the beginning of the show. I think Manchester
United, real quick, right before a little spoiler. So Gorta Fort are having a terrible season. They are the tramp donkeys of the league. We need Julian Green to frickin' turn things around. The difference between Bochum and Fürth is Fürth has 2 German Americans, and Bochum has 0 German Americans. Is that a stat that matters? No, I'm just throwing that out. But Julian Green and Tillman, there's 2 Tillman. There's a Timothy Tillman and a Malik Tillman. I forgot which one's at Fürth. I think it's Timothy Tillman. They need to step up and frickin' earn points, and they need to man up. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, you were saying that there is maybe a possible, you'd love to defend yourself. Well, you're on the stand, good sir. What are your arguments? Well,
Manchester United finally fired their coach after being pretty terrible all season, and there's much speculation as to who they get. And I say, why not Thomas Reis, coach of VfL Bochum?
And I say, why not Bruce Arena, head coach of New England Revolution? So maybe they can come in there and co-coach. That'd be nice. A little Thomas Reis.
There are many Germans in the Premier League. The Americans, not as much. I don't think there's a cultural.
Yeah, Daniel.
There's a cultural barrier.
He was fired. His ass was fired last week. So not Daniel Farke. There's Jürgen Klopp.
Thomas Tuchel.
There is Thomas Tuchel. And then there's an Austrian by Ralf Hasenhüttl, who coaches Southampton, a Red Bull boy, essentially just like Klopp and Tuchel, these high press guys. And so that's about it, right? After Daniel Farke, it was just
Tuchel and Klopp are pretty prominent. Anyway,
you know what club made them? Mainz.
Yeah. But that's my point. I think both of those guys made their name in similar ways by taking cheap and low budget teams into overachieving sort of stratospheres. And I think Thomas Reis deserves a look in that regard. The way he has this Bochum squad, which on a talent level is clearly undermanned in the Bundesliga, especially offensively. Right. And he's got them looking very, very solid and very competitive every week. So I know it's not going to happen.
I'm more of a Bo Svensson guy, the current Mainz coach. If you're going to keep that pattern going, just hire Bo Svensson. Bo Svensson is the Mainz coach. He coached FC Liefering, which is Red Bull's youth squad in Austria. So he's exactly that same vein, a high press specialist. He's not German, he's Danish, but he spent many years playing at Mainz, and he's a high press specialist. So, you hire your Thomas Reis, I hire my Bo Svensson. You know what? Granted, I was thinking about this today because it was something you were pitching. I think on paper some of that makes a lot of sense because when you coach the big teams, you're just man managing. That's what you're doing. The tactical skills, unless you're Jurgen or Pep, sometimes that starts hard to communicate. It's hard for the players to even just do them, Like what's PSG doing right now? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but with these young coaches, that's all they're doing, just tactics, and obviously trying to get the best out of your players. So I would wonder if, although on paper he would be great, if it just can't work because his entire experience, his only non-Bochum experience was coaching the Wolfsburg U19s, right? He was hired from the U19s to coach the Bochum first team.
I mean,
after spending many years coaching Bochum's youth teams.
I know this would never. I know this would never happen. But I mean,
but I'm doing a hypothetical.
Do you think he would put up? Do you think he would put up with Ronaldo's bullshit? I don't think so.
He has to. If Ronaldo doesn't like him, he gets fired. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, I don't think everyone would be like, "Who is this guy?" He played for Waldorf Mannheim and then coached the Wolfsburg U19s, and now he's coaching us. We're World Cup winners. We're freaking Euro Cup winners. You know what I mean? They'd be like, "Why are we listening to this guy?" You know what I mean?
Well, I think
he probably wouldn't get a word in. Yeah.
The case you're making is why he'll never get this job. And I'm glad that he won't, because then he'll stay at Bochum and it'll all be good. But I'm just throwing his name in the ring when I see this list of people, of the Zidans and the Rangnicks and the Sir Alex Ferguson coming back. You could do a lot worse. You could do a lot worse than looking at Thomas Reis. That's my point.
Brendan Rodgers. What I will say, it's not an exciting list of names. Like, everyone's talking Brendan Rodgers. It's like, yeah, he's fine, but like, what success does he have other than Celtic?
Leicester not looking all that good currently. And I think that's also why Ole has lasted as long as he has, because there really is no obvious replacement. But yeah,
even Pochettino wouldn't have worked. Pochettino's like a good small town. He's a small club coach. I think that's why he did well at Espanyol. That's why he did at Tottenham. I don't know if big teams and him mix, so we'll see.
I think Thomas Reis would be great. We will see if anyone.
You heard it here first.
I'm putting it out. I'm putting it out into the universe.
There's been sources.
He deserves a look.
Thomas. There's been sources that report that link Thomas Reis to the vacant Manchester United post. Granted, the sources are a podcast here in the United States featuring us, but the sources are out there. You've heard the sources.
With zero credibility. Yes.
No credibility whatsoever. No. So Thomas Reis, maybe he'll do it. Maybe Bo Svensson, maybe Bruce Arena, heck, maybe Bob Bradley, which I love. He's available. Bob Bradley's available. Would love for him to go back to England, coaching Manchester United. Anyway, that's been our Thanksgiving edition, part 1. What are you looking forward to most in the next week, Bjorn?
I guess we'll have another episode before the New England game. I'm looking forward to eating a lot of turkey, I will say.
Yeah. Turkey. And I got invited to a Thanksgiving with a bunch of Americans, so I bring rotkohl, red cabbage.
Oh, very nice.
I'm a big old German American dude, and I have German American traditions.
I have good red cabbage recipes.
Oh, please email them, because I always buy it in a bottle or a can or whatever they're called. A jar. Sorry, not a bottle or a can. I buy them in a jar. All right. Thank you very much. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. You're listening to us on podcast form. Please rate and review us and tell your friends. If you like us, spread the word out. If you want to talk to us, send us an email. schnitzelboyspod@gmail.com.
We will respond. Promise to respond.
We love you. All right, everyone. Mach's gut. Tschüss.
Tschüss.